they actually used an admixture that's available from an Italian company that is a self-cleaning concrete. So now they won't have to go back and clean this material over and over again. It'll stay bright and white like this. The other thing that admixture does is allow the concrete to absorb CO2. So it actually cleans the air around it. We've only seen it used on one project so far in the U.S. I think it's still kind of expensive, but I think it's one of the ways that we'll see concrete changing in the future. It's not something that's just used for precast. You can use it really for any kind of concrete. But you know, I think that's just a really beautiful example of new technology.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In the back, please. Back one slide. Back one slide.
Yep.
Please. Any idea if these three bending parts are hollow or kind of shell of some sort?
I believe, no, they are not. They're about, I think they're about 8 inches thick.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Just one solid thing.
Yeah, they're solid panels.
Okay.
I believe they're structural as well as being radiused.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to go back so we can look. I've never had this happen before. So we can look at the Sydney Opera House. I always think that it's kind of interesting to look at this, which is a very modern example of precast concrete. And really, you can look back at the Sydney Opera House up on the top. All of those, the white components that look like sails, those are all precast concrete. It's on a steel frame. Jorn Utzon was the name of the architect on that project. And he designed this. It was a design competition. He kind of snuck the design in at the last minute, and they had picked something else, but then when they saw this, they said, no, we have to have this opera house, and that's really great, but the technology was not there at the time to build it. So then there were all sorts of delays, and what he finally figured out was he was going to be able to make it affordable and make it happen by keeping that radius exactly the same for all of those different panels, and to create a lot of repetition even without having one piece be exactly the same as the other. So he kind of played on the radius to create those different sails. It was one of the first projects to really use building information modeling and computers, computer-aided design. And it was very controversial because it kept having delay after delay after delay. And finally, the architect got kicked off the project, and he never saw the finished project. It's such an interesting story. You could make a movie out of the creation of the Sydney Opera House. But again, just kind of one of the 7 wonders, because it really kind of did something completely new with precast concrete. The Transamerica Tower is in San Francisco, and it's the tallest architecturally precast clad building in the U.S. And some of the things that make it really interesting include that they had to be able to put it up with architectural precast and clad the exterior in some place that is going to have high seismic zone, in a high seismic zone. So that was kind of interesting as well. They wanted something that they could keep clean and neat, and did it with precast concrete. Another early example of architectural precast. Kozai is a little bit closer to home. It's in Columbus, and it's the Columbus Museum of Science and Industry, and Arata Izozaki is a Japanese architect, and he was the one who designed it. And again, very organic in the way that he used concrete as a very flowable material, and actually, use that ability to curve and shape it. Each one of these pieces, you can kind of see the people are right here. So each one of these pieces is 60 feet tall and about 10 feet wide. It was cast all in one piece in specialty forms, and then the precaster who did it had to create specialty trucks to cart it to the job site. They had to create specialty forms for it, and had to be very careful with all of the handling and erection of this piece, because you know, you can't pick up a piece of precast in the middle, because it's actually more fragile than you think it would be. It can just break into two. So they had to be very careful about handling and erecting this project. And there's just some examples of what it looked like when they were handling it. So that's kind of my fun part, and I apologize that the pictures didn't translate. Anybody got any questions about anything you've seen so far? No? All right. Well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. When I talk about precast products, sometimes I like to think about music as well. So here I've got my George Handel, who's one of my favorites, and Metallica, who I also like. And I love thinking about precast the same way I think about music, because you're taking these two very diverse types of music. You probably, in a lot of ways, wouldn't think of those two groups, or a composer in that group, in the same light. But when you think about it, they're using all of the same notes. They're creating the music using the same scale, the same 12 notes, the same keys on a piano. And that's the same thing that's happening with precast concrete. So I always like to think about it that way. Really what that shows is all of the different pieces of precast flying in and coming together. It's all the cool stuff. I wanted to kind of take you through the notes on the scale, or the keys on the piano, in terms of what happens in the precast industry. And that would be what the products are that are commonly used. So probably the most common product that you're going to see is hollow core. Hollow core comes in widths of 2 feet, 4 feet, and 8 feet, but it's typically going to be 4 feet long, and it can be anywhere from 6 inches deep to 16 inches deep. But usually you're going to see a piece of hollow core that is 4 feet wide and 10 to 12 inches deep. And then it's got these cores that are cast in the middle of it. So who can tell me why they think the cores are cast in the middle of it? Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. That's it exactly, because you get the strength of the concrete and you can combine that with the strength of steel that you're doing the pre-stressing with, and you don't need all that extra weight. Weight is going to be one of the downfalls for precast concrete. Yeah. Oh yes, he said to decrease the weight of the pieces, which was exactly right. So it is also the saving of materials, but for the most part, it's the weight, because weight is going to be your one thing that you want to watch out for with, or one of the things that you're going to want to watch out for with precast concrete.